58 lives stolen, hundreds and hundreds forever changed by one evil man with a plan and a ton of weapons, including a legal device that made them fire almost like machine guns. So what do we do? Many are saying it's insensitive to discuss what to do, but that is craven political BS. So here's the good news. A bipartisan group of lawmakers are calling for change. 2 congressmen are introducing a piece of legislation that would ban these bump stocks. Again, the device that Vegas murderer used to turn a semi-automatic firearm into something approximating automatic fire rates. Joining us now, the lawmakers behind this bipartisan push, Republican Congressman Carlos Curbelo and Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for doing something. Carlos, what are you doing and why?
Chris, we identified, and Seth Moulton and I have teamed up on these issues in the past, but here we identified something that is a clear and flagrant circumvention of existing law. Most Americans and most members of Congress agree with existing law. Since 1986, automatic weapons are illegal in this country, yet these devices allow people to turn semi-automatic weapons, legal weapons, into illegal weapons that obviously can be used for massacres like the one we saw in Las Vegas this past weekend. So we think that we can really bring Republicans and Democrats finally to reach some consensus in favor of sensible gun policy.
The NRA says, Seth, have the ATF do it. This was their reckoning in 2010 during the Obama administration. It didn't start as a piece of legislation. It's a guideline. Let them do it. Don't make it a law. What do you think of that?
Well, the problem is that the ATF ruled that under the law as passed, these devices are legal. They were doing their regulatory job of interpreting existing law. And if that's their interpretation, then obviously we need to change the law.
So that's why it has to be legal. All right, so then
That's right.
All right, so then we take something that is good, but could also be seen as a good start, Carlos, that it's not enough. It's something, but you have a broader discussion about this guy being able to stockpile 33 weapons, the kinds of review, the lack of coordination among the people who are doing the background checks because he was in different states and different venues. How do you address that? Should you address that?
Well, that's a fair point, and I think a lot of people are going to call for more, Chris, but I don't want to diminish what we're doing. For decades, compromise between Republicans and Democrats on this issue has been elusive. We have gotten absolutely nothing. This might be a small, but I think a very important step towards moving to a more rational conversation about sensible gun policy in this country. Last Congress, Seth Moulton and I also introduced legislation having to do with individuals who are under FBI investigation for ties to terrorism and their ability to obtain these types of, any type of weapon, really. So, sure, we can talk about other things, but I think for now we should keep the focus on this point where there seems to be a growing bipartisan consensus. I can tell you yesterday, my office was flooded with calls from Republican lawmakers, colleagues here, not even knowing the details of our bill yet, but very interested in getting on board. So I don't want to lose that momentum. I think if we can get something done, it'll be something to celebrate.
Yeah, it's such an interesting dynamic. You know, I mean, Congress couldn't even get through, as you're referring to, people on the no-fly list. You couldn't put in a rule that they can't get guns while they're on the no-fly list. They couldn't even agree on that. But it is interesting that you want to seize on timing when some say that